All right. Hey, guys, what's going on? It's Carey Digsby, Urban Tymes Magazine, Musiek Magazine, and I wanted to share with you guys uh, a gem, a tidbit that I just found. Or actually, a friend of mine just told me about Miss Tangi, uh, amazing drummer and percussionist that came our way. Got a chance to listen to a couple of things that he's been doing. Congratulating him, of course, on the Tiny Desk contest for 2019. We have right here Mr. Alfred. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Carey?
Man, doing great, doing great. As I was telling them, I got a chance to sit back and relax and listen to your set on YouTube and a couple of other things, and I was like, man, so this is what Tangi was talking about. So here we are right now, getting a chance to talk and see to our viewers what's going on with you and what you have right now. So I had a question. Okay.
Sure, go for it. Yeah.
Hey, your music is crazy. It looks like you're mixing pop and jazz, and you're throwing in another element. And I just had to ask, how did you come about with this unique style?
Well, for most of my life, I went to school, and early on, I was influenced by lots of jazz musicians. I could name names, and I'm sure you'd know all of them. Just everything from Miles Davis to Wynton Marsalis, and really fell in love with that music, went to school for that, and have gotten to play with a lot of really, really phenomenal jazz artists. But I've also spent part of my career as a drummer, as a working drummer, doing a lot of pop sessions, just playing music, pop music, a lot of singer-songwriter music. And it's hard for me to run away from those two worlds. And I just kept getting these melodies during my everyday life. I've got 4 kids, I'm married, and just between, when it could be inspiration sitting behind the piano and I'm intentionally going to work on a song, or I could be just running to the grocery store to get some milk, and I get an idea. And, ultimately I think the way I could say it simply put is this: the same amount of energy that I have given to the artists that I support as a working drummer, I just wanted to give that type of support to the songs that I felt like I was being given, these melodies I was being given. I wanted them to be the songs that they were supposed to be and not try and make them jazz or pop. I wanted them to be what they are. So a lot of the work for me in the composition process, the melody and the chord structure usually comes pretty quick. The drumming part is what ends up being the most difficult part for me. It's just trying to find the right groove, because a lot of the songs can go straight ahead jazz, or they could go smooth jazz. And sometimes, like with YClosed, which is the single that's coming about, I went through a couple different versions of that before I arrived at what I felt like was a really good meshing of kind of jazz, Afro pop, kind of a 12/8 African groove with pop. And so, hopefully that helps a little bit.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And it's interesting that you even mentioned that, too, because I know that's the single that's going to be dropped. But also, it's the lead song for your EP, Sleepless Journey. How did you come up with that?
With YClosed or Sleepless Journey?
Well, with Sleepless Journey.
Well, Sleepless Journey is, I can't shy away from my age. I'm 47, and it just kind of seems like a weird time of my life to go like, hey, I want to embark on a solo career. So Sleepless Journey is the song. In fact, has the actual song Sleepless Journey, which is the title track of the EP. That's going to come out in September. It's like a really it's like a driving song, like driving beat. It's really aggressive, but at the same time, it's got this melody that kind of soars over it. And I think a lot of that represents the kind of my life. It's like, I feel like I've worked really, really, really hard in the music business. I've traveled around, I've played music in 30 countries. I've played gigs and concerts for 5 people to 25,000 people. And I'm serious. I haven't seen it all. That's for sure. I definitely wouldn't say I've seen it all, but I've seen a lot. And a lot of it, I look back and I'm like, man, I feel like a lot of that has been in preparation for me to support my own music now. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to play with other artists or do recording sessions or that kind of thing. It's just I felt like it was time for me to put my music out there. And in a way, the Sleepless Journey is kind of like, I guess it's for everybody who's out there trying to do something. There's just a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of hard work. But for some reason, I get energy. So the Sleepless Journey is like, that's kind of the way it is, right? I'm tired, but I'm so energetic because I'm excited about what life has to offer and what I'm doing right now.
Well, that's good that you know, and believe you me, no matter what age you are, if it is something that you're passionate about doing, then you should do it. And I mean, you have picked pretty much a prime time of your life to do so, because I mean, you've performed with a lot of notables over the years. I mean, we're talking like, you know, Jason Upton, Leonard Jones, Joan Rivers, you know, I mean, the list goes on and on. So, I mean,
yeah.
I think it's wonderful that you're doing that right now. Like you said, it's almost, you're preparing for your own time. So congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, and it's funny that, you know, YClosed as a single, that was actually, you know, that song is actually a separate single, and it was intentional, and it was suggested to me to do that by a really good friend of mine who actually played on the single. His name's Chad Lawson, and Chad had said, you know, you've done a lot of work in the jazz world. You've done a lot of this type of stuff. I released a jazz quartet record last year, and he said, you know, you should introduce your audience to this new season where you're singing with your melodies. You know, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I am singing on this track. And
okay.
And there's a lot, and that kind of doubling of the piano with the melody, I wanted it to have this kind of human factor with the human voice, and so there's a lot of that on the new EP. So the vibe that you're catching on YClosed, the energy, the melodic sense, the good rhythm, and then just kind of the singable melodies. A lot of people are like, man, I listen to YClosed or I listen to this track and I just can't stop singing the melody. Specifically, the guy that did the Tiny Desk concert video, the videographer is like, man, I've been watching the video and I can't stop walking around town singing your song. I'm like, that's a good problem, man. That's a really good problem to have. So YClosed was a lot like a lot of my other songs. YClosed was literally written because the YMCA was closed. I'm joking now and just came. It's kind of my celebration. It was my celebration song about the fact that I didn't have to work out that day. It kind of had a cheat day. But in all fact, I mean, reality, the story goes, I drove up. There was a power outage in Charlotte. I live here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and as much of North Carolina, we have lots of trees. Doesn't take much to have a power outage. So I'm leaving the YMCA, and I just started tapping this rhythm on my dashboard, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm going to get into something. I'm going to turn on my iPhone, and I actually recorded myself sort of singing what would become the intro and the main melody of YClosed. And then I just started producing it, working it out, and now we're releasing it this Friday, so I'm excited about it. So there's a little bit of a kind of a quirky story behind the song title. But the YMCA was, in fact, closed, and that's why I wrote the song.
Wow. Okay, so you know I got to ask this question because and there's a reason behind it. Which YMCA was that?
Well, at that time it was actually called the Siskey YMCA out it's out in Matthews, North Carolina. I think they've renamed it, and I haven't been out there since they renamed it. So I had to take a break from working out. I hurt my shoulder last year, and it's taken me. I've been in physical therapy. I've still been able to drum, but it definitely working out was not something I needed to be doing. So I'm hopefully going to go back and get back into it now that I got a clean bill of health about 2 months ago. So I should be looking forward to getting back out there and hopefully writing maybe a song called "Why the Y is Open." We could do that.
That's cool, man. I had to ask that because I used to work at the Y, and my son works at the Y. So, you know, it's one of those things right here in Charlotte.
Countless hours at the YMCA out there. I trained for a couple marathons, several, and I did triathlon for a while. Trained for my Ironman at that YMCA. So a lot of good memories of early mornings at the Siskey Y for sure.
Cool. See, that's why this is so dope, because I mean you're connected here in Charlotte, and you're bringing in those different elements for basically the world to see and hear. So that story is amazing. I appreciate that, definitely. And I'm glad you're feeling better as well, man. Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Definitely. Well, that leads to my next question too, because you're so passionate about your music, and it's interesting because as I was doing my research on you, it's amazing how you also teach music, and
yes,
in reality, teaching music and playing music, I mean, they run parallel. They're literally like two sides of the same coin. I mean, how do you feel whenever you get the opportunity to impart your wisdom, to a next generation?
I'm the product of a couple teachers. My mom and my dad were both college teachers. My dad taught music. He was a director of bands at a college out in Missouri, and my mom was an English professor. So I kind of come from an educator's family, and so whenever I'm able to share what information I get, and I have to say that part of being a teacher is also continually trying to be a student. I would consider myself a lifetime learner, and that's why the learning process of composing my own songs, of shaping them and producing them, recording them, and then actually on the whole other flip side, learning how to market your music. Anytime I get a chance to, whether it's teaching, I'm adjunct faculty with a school out of Dallas. I teach online for them, the King's University out in Dallas, Texas, and then I teach privately here in the Charlotte area, right out of my studio. I love it. I really like to see the light bulb come on. I like the process of I can't do this. That kind of that struggle where you see, whether it's drumming or songwriting, where you're seeing people where they've hit a ceiling that's if you had 10 levels, which there's infinite levels, but if you had 10 levels in a particular craft, right? And each level's got some type of thing you got to push through to get the next one. In drumming, that's the moving of just moving your sticks and doing rights and lefts with your hands to let's get your feet coordinated with your hands, and then let's take all four of your two hands and your 2 feet and create a beat. Each one of those sequences is it's kind of an experience unto itself, that watching, giving the student the tools, right, that they need to begin the journey. It's kind of like, hey, I'm going to give you these tools. I'm going to teach you as best I can how to do it. But as you all know, when you're going to learn something, that time that you invest in the learning process, you learn how you learn, and you only get better as you continually work on it. So I really enjoy it. I enjoy passing it on. Anytime I get a chance to teach or talk to people about music or anything that I've had experiences in, I enjoy it, and I enjoy the interaction. I really enjoy community, which it's funny. I was on YClosed. I got to say this. I got to tell you, it's like the actual melody itself, when I was singing it, I had never really been to this is all about community for me. I love audience participation. I don't know why. And, usually audience participation with like a normal jazz concert would be like the audience participates by listening and, clapping when they hear something they like. It's very interactive. But I was like, man, I kind of want like the rock and roll thing where I sing something and the audience sings it back to me. That's like call and response, almost like a Freddie Mercury thing from Queen, if you've ever seen. I think I'd seen that movie, and I was like, man, what if I went like, oh, 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 and I get the crowd to sing it back to me, and we had this like thing going back and forth. That would be so awesome to have at a jazz show, to get people engaged in something other than just watching us perform. And so that song, YClosed, it's, the opening is me singing, and then my daughters actually joined me. I brought them into my studio and had them sing along with me, and we did the track like 3 or 4 times. So it sounds like a really big group of people, and the song's actually intended to be sort of like, when I play it live, I actually try to get people to sing along with me. And I feel like that, even if it's awkward for a jazz audience, I feel like that breaks the ice and loosens everybody up to where it's like, hey, we're in this together. Like, I'm going to play my songs and share my heart and tell you about the stories behind the songs. And, so hopefully that makes a lot of sense. So the giving and taking of teacher-student, it plays into my performances as well. I really want to have kind of a give and take with the audience that's coming out to support me too. It's not enough for me to just go like, hey, let me play and you watch. It's like some of the songs I really want them to be able to engage to in a different level, whether that's singing along or thinking about their own lives. So
that's cool. That is so cool. So check this out. So Alfred, how can our fans find out what's going on with you, follow you? Because I know you've got a lot of upcoming events. Matter of fact, I think there's one here in Charlotte in November at the Bachelor. Yes, I have to make that.
Yeah, I'm a regular. I keep a really up-to-date schedule with my website, and you can find my website at alfredsergel4.com. That's ALFREDSERGEL, 4.com, alfredsergel4.com. And then that's the same handle for Facebook, Alfred Sergel 4. So facebook.com, Alfred Sergel 4, and that's the 4. And then Instagram is Alfred Sergel 4 as well. So any of those stuff. And if you go to my website, there's links to everything: Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You can email me and stay in touch. So the website's kind of the central point of location. I did want to mention for any of those the single does release on June 7th. And right now we are running a Spotify pre-save campaign for anybody who's using Spotify. If they'd like to pre-save the track into their library, that would enter them in to win a free T-shirt that I'm having custom designed just for the release of this year. And that would give, so that's something we're doing right now, just to kind of get people to engage with the track early on. So when it releases this Friday, if you pre-save it, you'll be one of the first people to hear it. And I get the information back, and then we're going to pick a winner for the T-shirt next week, first part of next week, and announce whoever wins the T-shirt. So
that is cool. Okay, family, y'all heard it first right here. Urban Tymes Magazine, Musiek Magazine. He is dropping this single, YClosed, this Friday. Be ready. Check it out. Pre-save it. And if you pre-save it, you can be entered into a contest to get a custom-made shirt.
That's it. That's it. You're right.
Man, thank you once again for sharing all this information in regards to your career. I mean, it's been amazing, as well as what's going on. I'm wishing you the best of luck in regards to not only the single, but the album that is going to be dropping. I can't wait to see this EP, man. I mean, it's going to be incredible, and I know everyone is going to love it as well. As guys, if you're in the Charlotte area, definitely check out his website, because, again, he's got some performances that are going on here. And if you're not in the Charlotte area and you're in other areas such as Hilton Head and such, definitely check his website out. You get to see his schedule, and you can follow this amazing artist. Thank you once again, man.
Thank you for having me.